Good morning, my miracle friends. Lesson 284 from A Course in Miracles. This is a good one. I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. I can choose to change all thoughts that hurt. Loss is not loss when properly perceived. Pain is impossible. There is no grief with any cause at all, and suffering of any kind is nothing but a dream. This is the truth. First to be but said and then repeated many, many times, and next to be accepted as but partly true with many reservations, then to be considered seriously more and more, and finally accepted as the truth. I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt, and I would go beyond these words today and past all reservations and arrive at full acceptance of the truth in them. Father, Father, what you have given cannot hurt, so grief and pain must be impossible. Let me not fail to trust in you today and accepting but the joyous as your gifts, accepting but the joyous as the truth. I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. Loss is not loss when properly perceived. Pain is impossible. There is no grief with any cause at all, and suffering of any kind is nothing but a dream. This is the truth, at first to be but said and then repeated many times, and next to be accepted as but partly true with many reservations, then to be considered seriously more and more, and finally accepted as the truth. I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. So this is a tough one to swallow if you're in the middle of something that is painful, or if you're grieving, or if you are in pain. This is a very tough lesson to swallow, which is why it says that this truth has to be repeated over and over again, and that you're going to come up with all sorts of reasons why this is not the truth. And we're going to have many reservations. But then a little bit of us wants to believe this is true because this is very liberating. This is very, very liberating if we allow ourselves to accept this as truth. But it takes time. It really takes time, and we will all be arguing our own limitations. And if we try and say this to somebody that hasn't done any of this work, is like completely new to this way of thinking, they'll think we're far rockers and haven't experienced pain like they have, or haven't experienced suffering like they have. And it's just a kind of evolution. Now, I don't know if some people never realize this. They never realize that I can choose my own thoughts. We've got thoughts coming in all day long and it all seems random. And every single one of our thoughts lands in our mind. I've just been reading a book that's talking about this. Our mind being fertile soil. So every single thought, like a little seed, can land in our fertile soil and can become bigger and bigger, and can really start affecting our life. But with all beautiful gardens, we have to go in and do the weeding. We have to pick out the thoughts that hurt and then cultivate the thoughts that heal, and the thoughts that make us feel good. And this isn't like some kind of fake positivity, like put a smiley face on everything and have this kind of toxic fake positivity. There's like a very deep truth here that loss is not loss when properly perceived. Like everything is impermanent in this human experience we're having. So eventually the loss will be properly perceived, even death is painful, but when you see thousands of generations that have gone by, it's just part of life, isn't it? When you can see the cycle of life and you can see the infinite within the cycle of life and the eternal within the cycle of life, suffering of any kind is nothing but a dream. So we can make our suffering into an all-encompassing thing. We can totally identify ourselves as our suffering. We can totally identify ourselves with our past or our childhood or our trauma, and they're all very valid things in the short term. But you meet people who've had terrible traumas and yet have decided they're going to choose to change all of these thoughts that are hurting them. You see people who've been in Auschwitz that decide that you know they gave 2 years to Hitler and they're not going to give him another day in the suffering of the repeated thinking of these things. So there are people out there that have done these incredible things, which means we're all capable of it. This is the truth that I can choose to change all my thoughts. We all know about neuroplasticity, that within our minds we have synaptic connections and that we can change those those thoughts. We can create thoughts that we want to be more prominent in our minds, and we can tone down the noisy thoughts. It's just mastery. This is just being willing to want to do that and then doing the work involved in order to do that so that it becomes second nature. So this is the truth at first to be but said and then repeated many times, and next to be accepted as but partly true. Now, I was having a conversation with someone the other day and they were saying something about the news and all the rest of it. I said, yeah, but you can choose to watch the news and be upset by the news, or you can choose to switch it off. That is a choice you can make if you really want to. I made that choice 30 years ago. I switched off the news and I thought, I'm not interested because this isn't real news. This is just a bunch of news that somebody wants to share with us, but it's a choice I can make. It's a choice to listen to that. Or I have a choice to listen to the birds and the bees, or a beautiful piece of music, or read a book with beautiful words in it instead of a nasty old newspaper with a bunch of bullshit in it. Honestly, does it, you have to ask yourself, do I feel good when I watch the news? Do I feel good when I read bad stories about sad things that have happened on the other side of the world? Well, if you want to feel sad, carry on doing it. You don't, choose something else. Life's a choice, as my mother would always say. Blah, 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 blah. Then to be considered seriously more and more, and finally accepted as the truth. The truth. I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. Which means we can just infuse ourselves with beautiful thoughts. Beloved Divine, the perfect day full of beautiful thoughts and blessings and seeing the light in everyone and everything already exists. Thank you for guiding me and everyone concerned to this. Love before us and love behind us, love to the left of us and love to the right of us, love above us, love below us, love expressed through us and love emanate from us. Father, what you have given cannot hurt, so grief and pain must be impossible. Let me not fail to trust in you today, accepting but the joyous as your gifts, accepting but the joyous as the truth. Where would joy have me go today? What would joy have me do today? Think about it. What would joy have you do today? What would joy have you say today? What would joy have you not say today? And to whom? Have an amazing day, full of joy. See you tomorrow.